in the Middle East, and its popularity has dropped significantly over the past 2 years. The poll by an Istanbul-based think tank has found that Turkey's rating has fallen nearly 20 points from 78% in 2011 to 59% this year. The drop has been mainly attributed to the country's negative role in the Syrian conflict, as well as its policy towards Egypt. In Syria, 88% of respondents said that they don't view Ankara as a friend to their country. In Egypt, only 38% had favorable views about Turkey. The survey was conducted in 16 Arab countries. Let's talk with Hassan Unal, is a professor of international relations from Atilim University, who joins us from Ankara. Hassan Unal, not good news here for Turkey in terms of at least the region and how it's being viewed. Do you think that the way that Turkey dealt with Syria and its approach towards Syria is largely attributed to its declining popularity?
Well, first of all, the result of the poll conducted apparently in a number of Middle Eastern countries is not surprising to those of us who follow Turkish foreign policy closely, particularly towards the Middle Eastern countries and in particular towards the Syrian crisis. Well, as you mentioned, Turkey's attitude towards the Syrian crisis, and particularly Turkey's meddling in the internal affairs of Syria to such an extent that it is certainly contributed to the war which is raging and blowing the country apart, is being watched not only is being watched with grave concern, not only by Middle Eastern countries and the Arab public opinion, but also by the Turkish public too. A number of polls that have been conducted over the last few years have demonstrated quite clearly that even the AKP voters, the present government voters, don't certainly condone the sort of policy the Turkish government has devised towards Syria. It is not only Syria, but also a number of other things must have contributed to this result. One is certainly Turkey's handling of what has been going on in Egypt. For instance, everyone remembers how Tayyip Erdogan, the Turkish Prime Minister, was very friendly with Hosni Mubarak and earlier on with Gaddafi of Libya, and then overnight he changed his mind for no reason, without any explanation to the Turkish public, and then he denounced them both. And afterwards, until the Morsi regime came to power in Egypt, he was critical of almost everything. And then he became friendly with the Morsi regime, but he disregarded the rest of the Egyptian public. And when the latest developments took place in Egypt, which brought down the Morsi regime, Turkey has been acting in such an incredible way. It is certainly outward intervention in the internal affairs of an independent country, and also it is doing it in such a way that no other country of the Middle East seems to be supporting Turkish line of policy. For instance, over Egypt, Turkey is now at odds with countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the Gulf Arab countries. And over Syria, Turkey is at odds with Iran, and particularly Iran and Iraq, and particularly with Russia. And then you have turned not only Syria against yourself, but also at the same time you are having a civil dispute with Israel. This is basically probably it is going to be presented in world diplomatic history and political history courses as an example of how a country can do the worst in terms of its formulation of its foreign policy. None is in the interest of none is in Turkey's national interest. Turkey's foreign policy normally was based on the concept of non-interference with the internal affairs of any neighboring country, and no interference with any dispute among the Arab countries.
Right.
Now Turkey has broken all these norms and principles in its foreign policy, but the foreign policy which the present government has replaced with has not produced the desired effect. Now the Turkish foreign policy has failed, and it has failed miserably in the case of Syria. And in the case of Egypt, again, Turkish foreign policy has failed. There is no policy support for Turkish policy across the Middle East. None even in the West. No, the present Egyptian regime seems to be acting quite friendly with the West. Even Assad regime seems to have come to an agreement with the United States and its allies. And Turkey has certainly isolated itself as a result of all these ideological-based foreign policy.
Very well.
Even the Soviet Union wasn't as ideological as Turkey has been these